Mr. President, the Democratic Party's reckless $3.5 trillion tax and spend reconciliation, their spending spree, will be a disaster for the American family. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget warns that this spree could increase the deficit not by $3.5 trillion, but $5 trillion. A little bit of a bait and switch. Oh, it's only 3.5, only 3.5. Turns out the independent Committee for Responsible Federal Budget says no, more like 5.5. Now today my colleagues have shed light on the many costs of this economic, I don't know what to call it, potential catastrophe. Here are just a few speaking from the perspective of my state. If our goal is to get back to the pre-pandemic economy, which, by the way, was the best economy of my lifetime, an economy in which there was record low unemployment, which is to say record high employment for women, African Americans, Hispanics, the disabled, high school dropouts, record high employment, veterans, you name it, then this is not the way to go. By the way, the wage growth in this pre-pandemic economy was disproportionately in those in the lower quintile of our nation's economy. So those who are lower wage to begin with, were seeing the greater growth in their wages under the previous economy. Why does this matter a lot for my state? Louisiana is a hub of innovation for energy and other technologies. Innovation creates jobs, raises wages, puts food on the tables of working families in my state. Congress should encourage that. These are not the PhDs in solar energy. These are the people that produce the oil and gas or use that oil and gas to make the plastics that matter so much to a modern economy. By the way, you can't help but notice the hike in gas taxes, in the price of gasoline that has just occurred. And now they're using the term energy poverty because there's a hike in the price of electricity. This is hitting the families as a hidden tax. But this bill squashes that innovation. And it is the new taxes and the increased taxes as to how this spending spree is financed. It was once said, the power to tax is the power to destroy. But these taxes are destroying the jobs and wage increases that have been so important to these working families over the last 4 years. And the rhetoric, of course, is that this is about a few tax hikes on the wealthiest of Americans. But what we learned from the Joint Council of Taxation is that 2/3 of these tax increases will fall upon lower and middle-income families. One example, again, House Democrats propose hiking the corporate tax rate to an uncompetitive 26.5%. The wealthy will still be wealthy. Studies show that when you raise corporate tax rates, it translates into lower wages for the employees and lower dividends and stock escalation for the shareholders. Okay, so that's the employee, the operator in the refinery, who shows up to make sure that it runs safely, goes home and helps pay the rent or pay off his mortgage, and it hurts the retiree, who's hoping that her stock portfolio will allow her to live a better life when she retires. So it is billed as a massive, as a hike to the corporations, those greedy corporations, but that hike is felt by the workers and the retirees. So when the family begins to figure out how they pay their higher electricity bill, how to pay their increased cost of gasoline, the inflation that has been eating up their budget, they have to pay more for food. Their children are going back to school, we hope, so they're buying those supplies. They will not get the wage increase that they had previously hoped for. This hurts the entrepreneur who's trying to start a small business. And by starting that small business, employs other people. Rolling back the 2017 Tax Cut and Jobs Act, raising taxes on working families will not help them. President Biden has proposed nearly doubling the capital gains tax, raising it to 39.5%. Again, who does that hurt? It hurts, again, the retirees saving for their entire life so that they can have a good life when they retire. Democrats are really earning the title of the tax and spend party with this monstrosity. These taxes will stunt our economy, and the needless trillions in spending will skyrocket an already increasing inflation, further impacting working American families. Mark my words, this will be President Biden's economic Afghanistan. With that, I yield.
Senator from Wyoming.
Thank you, Mr. President. I come to the floor to join my colleagues in opposing the Democrats' reckless tax and spending